Oh, man, I forgot to do the opening and closing hymn. Adamant. Come on. Adamant. Strip, I think it's called. I guess we could do Indigata Davida. Do that one again. That would apply. So, I, Ron Butterfly. I guess it doesn't matter which order. Consult below. If I had put Eves in any of these pictures, YouTube would go, yes, we got him again. Ban him. Even with fig leaves over them. As you can see, I found fig leaf in a PNG. Oh my goodness, just hilarious. So, in the news, there's a man who was the boy, the baby, on the famous Nirvana cover. Nirvana's lead singer committed suicide and was a tragic loss for his fans. And so all these decades later, the baby on that famous cover is now suing for being exploited in child porn as a baby. He does not understand that nudity in and of itself is not porn. And the album cover using his image as a baby, buck naked in his birthday suit, was not even used sexually. Miller test. And is it in this one, I hope? No. Oh, yeah, there it is. So, yeah, YouTube would be all over me, and they're already going to be all over me in checking during the processing time for any image, even though all of them are at the front and they'll be done in a second. But I use the word porn. And so they have community guidelines, as they call it. That comes from this 3-question test that came from the Supreme Court in the Miller versus California, Miller v. California case in 1973. And so they take it from the first one. The average person, YouTube, applying contemporary community standards, would find that the work taken as a whole appeals to the prurient interest. And so, yes, all of your Christian fundamentalists, yeah, we'll tell you what is porn or not. And so, as we know here in Utah County forbids feminine magazines, female magazines, not men's magazines, female magazines. So your cosmos, your fitness, because it would have a damaging influence on children. First of all, these homemakers doth protest too much, and it's destroying their own families, which, according to the stats, they're most likely divorced. But nonetheless, married women do it too. And they're body shaming. Literally. They're slut shaming and body shaming. They're being mean girls. There is nothing offensive about the human body. So anybody who gets upset because somebody looks better than them, as they suppose, remember, your husband married you. He didn't marry the image. Why are you afraid? Why are you now protecting children when you know that you're insecure that your husband's going to leave you for an image? So that's the community standards. And again, I repeat, nudity in and of itself is even biblical as good. Unshameful. Not shameful. Whichever word works. Because it's right there. Adam and Eve were naked and not ashamed. It's just like a baby. So 2, whether the work depicts or describes in a particularly offensive way. What is offensive? Is there a standard measurement by what we can determine is to be construed as offensive? Nope. It's an opinion word. So in and of itself, there's no such thing as a standard of measurement for something offensive. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder because it's an opinion. And such is offense. It's an opinion. But they go on. Sexual conduct, or excretory functions, specifically defined by applicable state law. Really? We need our government to tell us what sexual conduct is. But again, they're assuming that sexual conduct is offensive. Is it? Is it? How else are we going to have babies? Oh, test tubes. Or Krypton. They had the thing where you put your fingers on the little device and it all of a sudden tells you your baby because it apparently produces it with your DNA blood. I miss Krypton. They should have kept going. Anyway, I digress. Again, this is science denial that is going on here with number 2. This is why we have such a severe crisis in America, and especially in Utah, as nobody wants to teach sex ed to our kids. Not even the parents, who say it's up to us to do it. Not our government, not religion, because religion won't talk about it. They just say it's evil. How do we have babies? Well, you gotta be married, and that means giving us money. And then and only then And it must be only for kids. No condoms. But no buts. So here's number 3. And it's almost like they mocked the first 2. And YouTube especially ignores it. Religious fundamentalists like evangelicals and Mormons ignore it because this does not fit their agenda. Whether the work taken as a whole lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. And educational also needs to be in here, which is the overarching thing in this, because education teaches literary or literature, art, politics, and science. And so all of these null and void the first 2, because again, the human body is a form of art, and it's the science of biology, human anatomy. And so when it's portrayed in any kind of medium, whether it be a statue, painting, drawing, videotape, digital stream, JPEG or PNG picture, it's an artistic medium. There is no such thing as pornography. It was created by evangelicals when they lost their Supreme Court case in 1900 to have creationism override science in the classrooms. So they decided to go after other idol-worshipping things. And then in 1923, the church decided to become evangelical Mormon with their reincorporation after the United States shut down the church with the Edmunds-Tucker Act. So the church couldn't restore anything Brigham Young. And they're white supremacists, so they wanted nothing to do with Joseph Smith's Jewish church. Not Christian. Read the first vision again. It's religious bigotry. And religious should also be included in this as a literary, artistic combo, I guess. And so, what then constitutes, people are screaming, no, you can't, because pay attention to what you're trying to express to me. You're talking about criminal behavior that is portrayed in art. Like a rape getting caught on camera. Or revenge porn. As we lost a congresswoman to revenge porn of her ex-husband, or soon-to-be ex-husband. They were in the process, I guess. And he was trying to defame her and ruin her reputation so that he can win big in the divorce settlement. That's a crime. And so when you have any human who is kidnapped, held hostage, exploited against their will, and children don't have the legal right to make decisions as an adult. That's why they're called minors under the law. And so unless an adult, guardian or parent, signs permission without duress, there is no issue. So let's go to Brigham Young again. In the early 1800s, the women's suffrage movement had yet to occur. Women were still slaves and property to their husbands. Women were not allowed to own their own property. Women couldn't own their own businesses. Yes, there were examples, but those were the exceptions. The law did not allow it. As a result, women were, as property, not available for their rights. Brigham Young, after murdering Joseph Smith, created the Temple Endowment with the creation, garden, celestial world, whatever, all those different rooms, and thus designed it for the Salt Lake Temple that way, which is now being covered up by Nelson. And this was done back in Nauvoo, though. And so until the Nauvoo temple was finished, he was able to utilize the home of Joseph Smith, which I don't think he would have, because Emma wouldn't have allowed him in. Emma became an exception to the rule back in those days. And so it's most likely in the temple when he was doing it. I'd have to double, triple check. And so he is quoted as having said he would have had all his Eves, because he believed Adam was a polygamist, naked, completely naked. But he said that the Mormons were, I can't remember the word he used, too prudish, not prurient per se, but more prudes. And so he ended up designing the first bikinis for women. The bikini, if I remember right, because I checked it once, because I wanted to talk about this issue, but it was months ago. It was in the 1900s, the early 1900s. Is that the flapping days of the Roaring '20s? Was that when it came out? No, because they had The Great Gatsby was the full, not bikinis yet. So it could have been in the World War II era time period, maybe. I know that the Beach Boys and that the Yellow Polka Dotted Bikini song, that was part of it. And it was because of Bikini Island that they named it after. But regardless, Brigham Young technically is the first one to design a women's bikini. And like fig leaves, only made out of cloth. That's why we wear the apron in our temple endowment to this day. Or did Nelson do away with that? I would be surprised if he did away with it. He made some changes to the robes, didn't he? And so women don't have the veils, and it's a poncho now. And so I'm sure they have to have the apron. That's the whole point, as it represents the garment given to Adam and Eve when they were found naked in the Garden of Eden. It represents the garment of the holy priesthood. Inasmuch as you do not defile it, but are true and faithful to your covenants, it shall be a shield and a protection to you against the power of the destroyer until you have finished your work on the earth. I may have missed a word or two there. And so that, of course, evil just begs for mockery. Thus the picture. Adam, 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 where art thou? Father, you are Adam. Oh my God. Because, yeah, Brigham Young changed Heavenly Father. The nature and character of God changed by Brigham Young. That's your first clue that the church ain't true. Because then when they went and changed it again in 1923, they never even bothered to go to Joseph Smith's Jewish Christ. Nope, can't have that one either. So yeah, we've had 3 different gods in this church. So, anyway, when Brigham Young took these women with him to Utah, remember, they had no one to care for them. My 3rd grade aunt, Desdemona Fulmer, was one of his victims. She got to be married to Joseph Smith, thanks to my 3rd great grandfather, John Solomon Fulmer, her brother. But John Solomon Fulmer couldn't take care of himself, so Brigham Young gave him a job. And if you'll do me a favor, though, and take on a polygamous wife, that's an extortion threat. But yeah, he was also extorted to go because Desdemona Fulmer needed to be taken care of. And Brigham Young promised all these women that if they would do him a favor, though, and be married to him or any of his 12, especially Heber, who was the secret polygamist all through his time in the church. He had his 2nd wife in 1829. And a 3rd while Joseph Smith was running for his life, because Brigham Young had framed him again. That was the Governor Boggs thing. And so a jury in Provo, Utah took only a few minutes to clear Larry Peterman, owner of Movie Buffs, Utah County, Utah. He had been charged with distributing obscene. I know this. I was there. So let me finish this first. I'll get to it. And so What Brigham Young did was because women did not have rights as a human, let alone an adult. And so they were extorted and sex trafficked out of the United States of America because they are not able to make independent decisions for themselves according to the law. They were exploited by Brigham Young. See, today that's no longer an issue. We've had the women's suffrage movement, we've had the civil rights movement, even though Utah was a part of banning the Equal Rights Amendment, preventing that from happening. Women still are able to own their own property as well as own their own business. So great improvements, long way to go. Nonetheless, not back then. And so anything done to women to take advantage of them is a crime and thus falls under obscene. Any documentation, literary or artistic, would be evidence for that court case. And so those pieces of evidence in and of themselves are harmless and not offensive, not porn, but they are evidence that a crime had been committed. Do you see the difference? So the Nirvana baby claims that he was exploited only if his parents or guardian did not sign a waiver. So I don't know. Pretty much everybody knows that they need to do that. So, unless it's in the public domain or it is accessible by everyone, and you only have to give acknowledgement for the author if known. And internet has all sorts of pictures all over the place that there's no way to know. As when you try to copy and paste, it doesn't have a description all the time of who the author of the source is. So, yeah, let's get down to movie buffs. I went there all the time. That was my place. It was just right down the block from where I lived downtown. And it was over, let's see, 17th in California. So it would be Redwood Road in California. It was right in that area of homes. It was before I moved to under the University of Utah up there at the beginning of the hill. And I had heard in the news about it, and so I knew from the store what had happened. In movie buffs, they had a beaded off room with adult videos. Utah does not like those. Utah and the church has gone on purge campaigns to get rid of I guess it would be Southern Exposure that used to be on State Street, but the hospital bought it out and booted it out. And so now it's an extension of the hospital from State Street. which is now full up of ICU beds. Can't go in anymore because you guys thought that drinking the Kool-Aid of Nelson was a good idea. I wanted to put coming soon Lambda flavor. Didn't have room. And so one night while I was there, and it's like midnight hours, I was looking for a regular movie. I don't get R-rated sufficient. But yeah, I would often rent numerous amounts of movies, watch them, and then make a list of what I wanted to buy. And movie buffs had deals where you get 10 for $10 or something like that. And while I was in there, the owner, Larry Peterman, came in and talked with the store worker, took him into the back office, and I could hear. I was the only one in the building. I could hear. And his argument was wrong. Because what had happened is that one of the cases from the adult section was brought out by a customer, and the customer, instead of returning it to the shelf or giving it to the worker to have him put it away, just stuck it on one of the other aisles in the main store. And so a mother with children came into the store one morning or day or evening, whatever, and was looking for a movie for the kids and probably for herself while the kids are watching theirs. And one of her kids picked it up and showed it to her. She freaked out. "Oh, this is horrible! This is offensive! Ah, think of the children!" Yeah, is that child scarred for life? How long did women used to wean children? 8 years old, isn't it? But anyway, she sued for exposing her kids to the cover art. And the owner, Larry, was saying that he didn't even want those adult movies in his store. If it were up to him, he wouldn't even have them. But it's movie buffs. It's a franchise. He has to have what they want put in. And the legal argument that his lawyers used was Basic Instinct with Sharon Stone, where there's the unrated version that you can get with scenes taken out of the R-rated version, as well as her famous scene of crossing her legs in front of the police officers while she's being interrogated. And they claim this is an R-rated movie. It has worse stuff than... They had number 3. That's all they needed to use. Your Honor, this has serious literary, artistic, and scientific value. It's educational for your kids. Since Utah won't do it, they teach abstinence. But nope. And so and it looks like he got off. But I'll read it in a second here. But he lost his career. He was ruined because of this lawsuit. He didn't even want it. And his whole career is ruined. He lost his family. They left him. He was completely destroyed over this homemaker who was offended. Who couldn't just say, "That's for adults only, dear. I'm giving this to the employee so that they can put it in its proper place. Let's go find you a Disney movie." Which I don't even think they had Disney, because Disney didn't like to have rentals of their... So, yeah, okay. In practice, pornography showing genitalia and sexual acts is not ipso facto obscene, according to the Miller test. Yeah, number 3. For instance, in 2000, a jury in Provo, Utah, so yeah, they sided with him. Good job. Wrong argument, but you still won. Took only a few minutes to clear Larry Peterman, owner of a Movie Buffs video store in Utah County, Utah. So it wasn't that store that I went to. It was in Utah County, of all places. He had been charged with distributing obscene material. That Movie Buffs is gone, by the way. Gone. His whole life ruined. Movie Buffs gone forever. Far better than Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. And Netflix. He had been charged with distributing obscene material for renting pornographic videos which were displayed in a screened-off area of the store, clearly marked as adult only. No, it was the housemaker who found it on the wrong shelf, outside of the screened-off area. The Utah County region had often boasted of being one of the most socially conservative areas in the United States. However, researchers had shown oh my God, at the local Marriott Hotel, Marriott, John Marriott, as his nickname is, Mr. Magic Underwear saved my life. I can testify to it. Yes, on national TV. Oh my God! Please be quiet. Don't say anything about the church, please. We need to keep Brigham Young's secret a secret. It's sacred. It's a sacred secret. We're disproportionately large consumers of pay-per-view pornographic material, of which Mitt Romney used to be on the board of directors of the Marriott Hotel chain until he ran for president, which he was still picked on for that very issue. So, but yeah, it's a good thing he was cleared of all charges, acquitted. But dear God, his life was ruined, and Movie Buffs is gone, and they didn't even put the right information there. He was not distributing obscene material behind the screened-off area. That's what Movie Buffs required. It was because one of those cases made it out onto the general floor, and a kid found it. Because I heard the guy talking all about it that one night. So that kind of sucked. So yeah, I just, when you use your interpretation of religion to body shame, to science shame, to literary shame, to art shame, to politically shame, under this argument, a certain president who's, well, Monica Lewinsky. She's got a Netflix video, I guess, or something, and she specifically asked to have the thong bikini thing put in the movie or the show or whatever it is, and so yeah, apparently, sorry, you have no case, you lose. President can do it because it's political. It has political value. So he didn't even need to use the excuse, I'm addicted to sex. Oh my God, there's no such thing. It's like saying I'm addicted to eating at least 3 meals a day. I'm addicted to sleeping 6 to 8 hours a night. I'm addicted to going to the bathroom after I eat 20 to 30 minutes prior. It's just like, oh my God. The science will clear all this up for us. So yes, that's why I have on my TWG all those porn playlists and porn wars and all of that, which I get to use for this video. It's just horrifying that Mormons especially can't distinguish the horrible criminal activity of exploiting women versus this nonsense. That the nation is torn between the two. They can't figure it out. Is a baby after the statute of limitations? Is that child porn? Dear God. And we all know it's just because he's popular. Everybody knows him. He's the cool guy. But apparently he can't cash in on it. So he's hurting for money right now. Dear God, he did not learn from the composer who gave his life. You did not learn. 43 minutes for this? Do I have your undying attention finally?